foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rachahakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And as always, we give peace and salutations unto the elect. And I wanted to do a quick response to this video done by the elder Apostle Tahar. For all tables are full of vomit and filthiness. And he did this video in response to a video of a panel, full of empty bottles, clouds without water, lost souls. You have Quanath from Phobia and the rest of these degenerates. Pretty much the Apostle Tahar responded to a show they did, and the point I want to deal with is that they're teaching that once again, another change of the doctrine. And this guy, Elder Quanath, so-called Elder Quanath, he's pretty much, since he's made his reappearance after his 2-year hiatus, he's come back and changed everything. The chart, the breakdowns now, all of the tribes of Negro only. So most likely he was given some sort of agenda, or ultimately he's just reprobate, and the Heavenly Father set him up to cause confusion. All right, and when you look at their comments, you got a lot of Israelites commenting, telling them, "Good job, I've learned so much. This is great." All right, but when you listen to the doctrine, all right, you can clearly see that these people are going further and further into oblivion, unto their destruction. All right, but there are Israelites who are foreordained, as the scriptures say, natural brute beast, made to be taken and snared. I believe I heard that they're now teaching that the Edomites are black people or some weird crap. But either way it goes, I wanted to deal with the fact that they're teaching that the fourth beast and the little horn that came from it, or the little horn that came from the fourth beast, which will show you what that represents the Roman Catholic Church, which is a damn lie. So if you want to subscribe to Apostle Tahar's page, what is the 66 Mark II, then GMS Truth, subscribe and be edified. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, and we're going to give you a quick breakdown, Lord willing, of what the fourth beast and the little horn that came from it is. And when you get Daniel, the 7th chapter, we've done various breakdowns on it. All right, but there's always new fruit and new ears and new eyes, and maybe some of them are eyes that can see and ears that can hear. So we continuously have to grind and continuously have to fight. All right, this is our sacrifice, a part of it. So when you get Daniel, the 7th chapter, this is an outline and a vision of 4 beasts. Now, when you deal with these 4 beasts, it's the major empires that will rule in the earth, okay, and ultimately be responsible for taking the Israelites down, all right, and ultimately scattering us, as you go down. Now, the first beast, okay, in the 4th chapter, all right, is speaking of the Assyrian Babylonian Empire, okay. The second beast is speaking of the Medes and the Persians, all right, the Medo-Persian Empire, okay, which during the Persian Empire, we were able to rebuild the temple that the Babylonians sacked, okay. Now you have the third, okay, which is the Greeks. It's likened unto a leopard. That's the Greek Empire, all right, which is the beginning of the very beast system we live in. And then you have the fourth beast, all right, which is the Roman Empire, all right. And as you read down, okay, there's a little horn that is going to issue forth from this fourth beast. So we're going to start here in Daniel, the 7th chapter, and ultimately give edification to show you that it's not talking about no damn Roman Catholic Church, because you have those teaching that Babylon the Great is the Roman Catholic Church. And now these guys are saying that the fourth beast, all right, right? And the ultimately the horn that issued forth from that fourth beast, rather, is the Roman Catholic Church, all right, which makes no sense, all right, makes no sense, man, all right, because that little horn is actually the final captivity for the Israelites, all right, which is Babylon the Great, all right. Daniel 7:7, it says, "And after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth." This is speaking of the Roman Empire and its military, and how they devoured and break in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. All right, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns, because of the way that they used their senate and voting system to bring in their rulers. It was different than the empires before it. Okay, and as you keep going down, okay, it says, "And I considered the horns, okay, and behold, there came up among them another little horn." All right, now this is a future sense. This little horn that issued forth from the fourth beast is the revival of that fourth beast. It's the revival of the Roman Empire. Okay, so let's read this again. "And I considered the horns, and there came up among them another little horn, all right, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots." And that goes back, all right, to what we know as the Revolutionary Wars, because before Babylon the Great was established, okay, those 13 colonies, okay, which the first country to acknowledge those 13 colonies as a, actual country was Morocco, okay. But before that was established, you had the French, the Spanish, and then the British. All right. Out of the British came those 13 colonies, which is ultimately what led to Babylon the Great. So those 3 horns is the French, the Spanish, and the British. Okay. Now, the little horn right here is synonymous, okay, with what we read in Revelation, the 13th chapter. Okay. Okay, which ultimately would be how Esau got the fatness of the earth, okay, and ultimately world domination through Babylon the Great, the NATO, and the EU. But we're going to focus just on that little horn. This is Revelation 13 and 11. All right, now this whole chapter is speaking of the Edomite beast system. Okay, now as I told you, the Greeks started, all right, this very beast system that we know of today. And that's why I said the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. All right, going back to Daniel the 7th chapter. Okay, going back to Daniel the 7th chapter, when you read Daniel 7 and 6, it speaks of that leopard, all right, which are the Greeks. All right, and you can read the history of the Israelites in the Greek Empire in the book of Maccabees. All right, but going back here, okay, this whole chapter is speaking of this Edomite beast system. Okay, now here, Revelation the 13th chapter and 11th verse, it says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth." All right, it says, "And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." Now this is speaking of Babylon the Great America. All right, which through this rise, ultimately, they would issue forth the chip, put hell on the Israelites. Of course, first, take us down. Okay, do great wonders, use their military might to go throughout the 4 corners of the earth doing wickedness. All right, but this is a revival of the ancient Roman Empire, and let's prove it. Okay, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb." All right, his Democrat and Republican system. All right, the plebeians and the patricians, how he uses one side against the other to steal souls, snatch souls, okay, and destroy lives and steal your rights. All right, "And he spake as a dragon, draconian measures come." So he comes as if he's there to help you like a lamb. He's meek and humble. He gives you these 2 opposing sides to pick from, but ultimately through you choosing them, you lose your rights and draconian laws come forth. Okay, look up draconian laws if you want understanding on that. Okay, it says, "And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast that was before him." Okay, he exerciseth all the power of the first beast that was before him, and he calls it the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Okay, now who had a deadly wound? That was the fall of the ancient Roman Empire. Okay, and through the Renaissance period, which led all the way up to Babylon the Great, that deadly wound was healed. Okay, so America is nothing but a revival of the ancient Roman Empire, which is why when you go here, okay,